Greetings, dear ones. This is Saturday, January 16th. Shockingly, we're already halfway through the first of 2021. And I was smiling to myself earlier that, a year and a half ago and prior to that, I would do a monthly newsletter. And it was very, very challenging to take all the information, everything that occurred in a month on an energetic basis and bring that into a readable form that wasn't 10 pages long. And now, so therefore I moved to a weekly form so that it would be easier given the amount of information that was coming in on an extremely fast basis. And now it seems that almost a week is too much to try to consolidate. And this week's theme is entitled Division Within. And certainly we are experiencing that on a national basis. But of course, whatever is occurring on the national or global stage within the framework of this work is also occurring in us individually. And that is very, very apparent in that which we experience as separation or division within us, within our internal experience of ourselves. And this week we have, as usual, many, many, many different helpers, a lot of indicators and arrows pointing to where we can explore individually. And one of those primarily is truth versus deception, something that we've been exploring for a long period of time, of course, but it's seen so clearly in our mistrust, doubt, questioning, second guessing of our own innate, intuitive, internal information. And that comes from our experience as children, that when we come into this life, we are very attuned, excruciatingly so, through our energy field, through our bodies, that we know, not intellectually, not cognitively, physically, energetically, innately, intuitively, primally, how the world, i.e., our parents, should respond to us. When we're hungry, we naturally expect food. When we are cold, we naturally expect to be kept warm. And these expectations go far beyond just our physical wants and needs, but in the way, each in their own way, our parents ideally should respond to us. When that doesn't occur, it is very painful. It is very terrifying. It is very sorrow-filled, and it is infuriating. These are natural human nature responses to what those expectations not being met. And expectations is an interesting word, but that has a great deal of meaning and a great deal carried or thrown onto it. And by expectation, I mean simply there is a need or be it physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, or energetic from this little being. And when the response is different to what the system naturally expects, needs, wants, then some sort of adjustment has to be made. And when that adjustment is made by the defense system, it is done in such a way as to protect that child from continuous re-experiencing of that pain, fear, etc. Because somehow the child knows that this is, at one point or another, let me put it that way, at one point or another, the system registers that this is how it is and how it's going to be. That's after repeated ways in which the child experiences said wounds, insecurities, etc. And again, completely unconsciously, the system knows, or the child knows, that they have years and years and years of upcoming occurrence, that there is nothing they can do about it because they have absolutely no control. They have no leverage, no means, no power of making it different, and they are utterly and completely trapped. And so the experience necessitates, or the constant experience necessitates, the defense system to step in and distort that picture, distort that reality in such a way that the child can continue to live under and within those conditions. Now, that is a distortion of the truth. That is a distortion of what the being knows is occurring. That parent is making a choice, a selfish choice for themselves, what's easier or best for themselves, for example, without taking into account the child, without putting themselves in their shoes and seeing how that might be experienced as a child, and wanting to alleviate, wanting to make that child's world as secure and safe and well as possible. This doesn't have to be in the extreme, but in most instances, it is very, very deeply wounding because it is so based on the child's survival. Now, we are seeing that division within our country. Those who are actually adhering to or recognizing truth, be it facts regarding health. In this case, our lives depend on the facts regarding this virus, COVID-19, or whether it's, excuse me, facts regarding what we experience economically, what freedoms we have, what freedoms are being under attack. And this is reflected in an old pattern throughout history. Prior to the modern era, let's call it, whether it was kings, emperors, popes, dictators, the suppression and oppression of the masses was very easy. They had no access to information. They had no access to freedom. They had no access to say so in their lives. The Lord, the bishop, the generals, the whoever it was that the dictator, pope, emperor put in power as their lieutenants, maintained the control and decided or dictated how your life was going to be. If you were required to grow a certain amount of grain and give 75% of that to the Lord of the land, then that's what happened. You had no choice. You had no power or leverage, and you were certainly trapped in that. You couldn't pick up and go to somewhere else. And so we are at this point in time transforming and transmuting those old forms of the particular structure of duality that we've been exploring. And in order to actually evolve out of that structure, it necessitates each and every one of us exploring and, to whatever extent, determining how we are going to live within and as who we are within the new structure, the new earth, the new world. And make no mistake, we are in that process. Those of you who may have noticed it's a bit intense and chaotic and that everything is accelerated. Yes, that is so, because this is not a gradual, over hundreds of years evolutionary process. This is an evolutionary leap that we are doing within a very short period of time. Generation, where everything is changing, in case you hadn't noticed. And this situation we're in is exacerbating and bringing everything to the surface for the opportunity to change. Meanwhile, absolutely slowing down in order to give the opportunity for those changes to take place. The reason why this pandemic is going on so long is that those of you who have attempted to change any habits, and again, we're in January where everybody's trying to change habits of health, be they exercise, eating, different ways of living. And this is a typical time, of course, for those changes to occur. And how often do they actually stick? We're there for a short period of time. We're really gung-ho. We really attempt to do the best for ourselves, but most often it does not last because life gets busy. Things are moving so fast. The lives are so full that it takes a great deal of extra effort to be able to make those changes, certainly in regard to our diet and our exercise, etc. our habits of sleep, and that's just on the physical basis. But when we have an extended period of time where we aren't going at that pace, there is a better opportunity to make those changes stick, to have them fixate in our system. And that's what's going on the larger scale with this pandemic. We are having an opportunity to really look at, when things are slowed down, to really be able to take the energy and the time to reassess and reevaluate our own lives, to make choices, and to really see what is going on. And that is very challenging for those people who are really still aligned with the defense system's protections, to not feel, see, experience the truth of what you're living. Again, back to the experience of the child. There is a longing, there is a desire, there is a wish, there is a hope that what the parent is presenting and saying is true, despite the fact that there is an internal, innate, intuitive knowing, not intellectual. The system knows this is not right. This is not the way it's supposed to be. They are making choices that are harming me, that are scaring me, that are causing me to either A, become something I am not, or negate something that I am, in order to stay safe, in order to keep the parent either happy or not in a situation which will cause those painful things to happen. And a child learns very, very young, ooh, mommy doesn't like that. Oh, daddy likes it when I do that other thing. So you go along with the plan, you go along with what someone else is requiring of you, in the hope that that will let you survive, in the hope that that will get you what you do want: the care, the concern, the love of that parent. And you are willing to buy into the lie, the deception. You are willing to buy into what you have distorted the truth to be. And again, please understand, none of this is conscious. This is a rather desperate attempt on the part of a child who, again, has no power, has no control over the situation, and is utterly trapped. So we can see that in our outer world, that we have a large portion of our population that is choosing to believe outright lies, disinformation, misinformation, and go along with that in the hopes of being recognized, acknowledged, cared for, believed in, when in fact, deep within, if they were to allow themselves to truly feel themselves, their internal compass, they would have to acknowledge that this person, this parent, is not truly caring for them, is not truly doing what is right for the child, but instead doing what is good for them. And in worst cases, even enjoying the discomfiture, the ability to control and manipulate and use the child. It's horrible to recognize, but it does occur in our society, in all societies around the world. And this is what we are in the process of evolving, those aspects of human nature, so they no longer occur not only in society or cultures, but that they no longer occur from a parent to a child. I know that's a lot, but it is truly empowering and freeing to be able to realize that as you transform and transmute these pieces within, you are affecting the larger stage. You are affecting our country in this case, because when and as people follow the truth within, it naturally lends itself to getting along. It naturally lends itself to cooperating with others, feeling, having compassion for others. It's when we don't feel ourselves that it's very, very easy to buy into what the head is saying. And that's where the defense system lives. That's where these deceptions, these lies, these misperceptions, mistaken beliefs were created. Again, as protection for that child, now as interference or separation between what you are hearing, what you are told, versus relying utterly and completely upon your truth within. And again, that does necessitate finding that truth within by uncovering and transforming and transmuting the lies within. And within, I mean within your defense system, not within your innate. That will never, ever, 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 ever steer you wrong. But it is very, very difficult to A, feel into, B, hear, so to speak, by sensating, and C, relying on, trusting, believing in that truth within. Because as I said earlier, we, in a way, forced ourselves to negate, deny, shut down that truth in order to tolerate what we were living in on a daily basis. So this opportunity, this amazing opportunity to explore where within us we have that division between our truth and what we came to believe was true about ourselves and the world in relation to us, because we had to. Just checking my notes. And as you know, it's funny that, again, when you are able to tune into these places within you, you've done some of this work, you are able to receive more information, more feedback, more help, more guidance from not only your innate, but from multitudes of sources around you on a daily basis. Really living the fact that we are all connected. That information can come in symbol, sound, shape, song title, story, book, legend, myth, memory, cartoons, characters from books, nature itself, anything. And this week we have quite a bit of help from a wide range of sources. And this is where the alchemy comes in the work, this work. From my perspective of the work, we have helpers all around us on a constant basis. This week, and it has been actually for quite some time, the bat, which is an amazing animal, an amazing being, just in its habitat, in the way it lives, in what it does, in the help that it gives to its surroundings, what it eats, how it mates. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating, and has been a symbol throughout all time. Man has recognized animals and aspects of nature. The ancients knew that everything was speaking, everything was part of a circle, everything was part of you, and you were part of it. And that you can look up in many, many different cultures, the symbolism, what it represents spiritually. But in this case, it's been coming through somewhat through December, but certainly here in the month of January. And in many Native American cultures, it represents rebirth. And certainly not only because it's January, but we are all looking at a rebirth of us individually, a rebirth of us nationally, a rebirth of us culturally. That's why we have such radical situations. We all know that on an individual basis, unless a crisis occurs in our lives, it's very, very difficult to have a trigger or a means of change. And certainly a crisis will compel us to change. And that's what we have right now around the world with the pandemic, economics, and right now in the opportunity to either go forward as a democracy or to continue on in the old form throughout history of, as I said, that kind of pyramid structure where there is one man at the top with his group of lieutenants, generals, bishops, lords, and the rest of the populace is out of luck. In other words, they do not have access to the resources and the power and what that small group at the top of the pyramid hold. And we are moving into a completely different age. This is the age of Aquarius. This is a new era. We are moving into a circular form not a pyramidal form, but a circular form of being, where there is shared knowledge and shared resources and shared information and shared skills versus, again, a small group holding those resources, having and holding those resources. And so we are in a time of rebirth. We have amazing help from the cosmos. Throughout the year, there has been conjunctions. There always has been. But this year, some of the most powerful. And those of you who have been following my work know that on the 21st of December, on the solstice, we had a very, very powerful alignment or conjunction where Jupiter and Saturn came very, very close together and almost looked like one star, referred to as the Christmas star. Right now, this week, we have been in a conjunction of those two planets that added in an alignment with Mercury. Mercury is the spark. Mercury is the catalyst. Mercury is the fire that can create and recreate. And it's also, as I spoke of last week, referred to as quicksilver. Things can happen very, very quickly with Mercury. And we have what's been presenting also this week is coral. Coral as in, yes, coral in the ocean. And again, throughout history, throughout many, many cultures, gemstones, objects of the earth have come to have symbolic and spiritual significance. And coral is one of the oldest as well. In, again, many indigenous cultures, particularly here in the United States, it represents the life's blood of the earth. It represents the waters of the earth where birth and, in this case, rebirth take place. It is aligned with our circulatory system. It represents vitality and energy, as well as it has the property to a transfer of knowledge, and it expedites and accelerates. Again, no acceleration going on in the world, right? Very, very connected to or representative of the root chakra, the red of the root chakra. And that's our very existence. Yes, our very existence is at stake in many ways. That is why, certainly with the pandemic, our very existence is at stake. And we are seeing such radical exhibitions of the desire to extinguish the life of those that are unlike us, those that are different. Again, throughout history, the rallying cry, our type of people, the way we are is the only way, and the other must be crushed, whether it's religious, creed, color, country, what have you. And that is a form, or that is a way of being that no longer serves in the future of this age, this new age. What else is here this week? The centipede. I'll try to post it later, or maybe even on the thumbnail, but an amazing long-legged house centipede not only showed up, but I had an encounter with him. He was in the sink. I certainly didn't want to kill him, I tried to lift him out. He very willingly walked onto the piece of paper I had, took him over to a plant. He was not happy in that plant, kept trying to climb out, but it was too far down, had to move him back to another plant. So this was, not just, glancingly. So I started to explore and looked up the house centipede. First of all, if you ever see one, do not kill it. Of course, try not to kill anything, but certainly not a house centipede, because they are actually, they have a fascinating way of grabbing onto another insect and what's called lasso it and utilize its other legs to be able to hold it and then ingest it. And they eat a lot of critters, a lot of insects that you don't want in your house. So please let them help you and acknowledge when they show up that there is a reason for them. They have representations of being because they are very fast moving and very independent. And again, none of those themes going on right now. They represent courage and wisdom, and are also indicators of warriors and leaders, and of energy and healing. And again, this is from multiple cultures. So we're being validated and reminded of these aspects of us: courage and wisdom and energy and healing and independence. And certainly we're experiencing the fast movingness, right? And warriors have also been very, very present the past week or so, showing up. Certainly, there are many movies that have energetics within them. And some of the superhero movies based on the old comics really give us an opportunity to view our grander selves, what we can be, what we are headed for on a cosmic basis, that we are certainly not the only ones in this galaxy, and it is not going to be that much longer before our technology allows us to travel or allows us to begin to communicate or receive communications from other beings in this cosmos, or in this galaxy at the very least. And so those warriors that present, whether in myth or maybe these are our modern myths. Wonder Woman presented herself this week, and she is fighting war. She's fighting the god of war, Ares, in the belief that once you kill that god of war, then men can return to their better natures. They can be what they were meant to be. And he points out that men have always been selfish, cruel, weak, incapable of great horrors, and that they don't deserve the help of the divine. And she very, very strongly affirms that, and learns and affirms, that it is not about deserving. It is about what you believe. And certainly that stance must be part of our daily life in this country. Absolutely. It is about what you believe. Again, not bought into, not because of what someone else has said, not because of an individual who you follow, but instead what your innate internal knowing says is true and therefore to stay in integrity with yourself, that you must also do. And we're seeing a lot of that in the political stage or on the political stage. What do you really believe? Are you going to go along with something in order to fill your pockets and for your own selfish needs? Or are you going to make the choice for and on behalf of others? And again, this brings us back to the childhood experience of a parent, and all do it to differing degrees in differing aspects of life, but the parent makes choices for their benefit before the child, or instead of the child, or in spite of the child's needs, etc. So there is this thread that runs from our individual experience through to our culture, our nation, and across the board, all the way to the world. Are we going to have a few countries, a few leaders, again, hold all the power and the control of the resources? In this case, up until recently, it has been petroleum and gas and coal and minerals, those things that are gouged out of the earth. But when there is sustainable energy, then there can be a more equal distribution of resources and opportunities. And another that comes through is, that same, are you going to choose for yourself, whether you're a political leader or the individual or a parent? Are you going to choose for yourself, or are you going to align with that which actually feels good within and make choices that benefit you and others? You first, because that automatically engenders the wanting to help others, the wanting to share with others, the feeling for others. And, again, another piece that came through I hadn't seen, I thought I had, but I somehow missed one of the movies in the Batman series, the one with Christian Bale, where it's Batman Begins, where he becomes Batman. And Gotham has become a very dark place, and there is one man that is perpetuating that darkness, that is perpetuating the poverty and the oppression of the majority. And there's a wonderful line in it that states, as long as he maintains the bad people rich and the good people scared, what chance is there for Gotham, or in this case, our country? What chance is there when good people do nothing? And this is a call to each and every one of us to stand up, to step up. Again, the theme that's been going through for several months. And to stand in our own truth, stand in our internal, innate knowing of what is true. And in this case, your very life depends on it. Another very, very significant warrior figure that has come through this week is Zorro. I've been slowly putting away Christmas ornaments or Christmas decorations. For me, the whole house gets decorated. And it's been a slow process, primarily because I really don't want to put them away this year. We have so much going on that it always feels good. I have a beautiful tree that is an always factor for me. And interestingly enough, um, talk about that in maybe an individual little short session or short commentary later this week. But the decoration of that tree was very, very fascinating this year. And so as I'm taking down the decorations, I'll often have the television on. My go-to station is Turner Classic Movies. And in this case, the old Mark of Zorro was on with Tyrone Power, and just an absolutely beautiful specimen of human male. And if it's on, I'm going to stop and let it run. So caught part of it this week. And the reason why I'm explaining all of this is, or sharing this with you, is because this is a what are the odds moment. And what are the odds moment is a form of hypersynchronicity, something that you could not calculate, even, just mathematically. You could not calculate something to occur. And Zorro was a warrior for the people. And this is actually based on a real life character, Joaquin Murrieta, in California, who did work for the people, was somewhat of a Robin Hood when, again, people were being oppressed. And this is a what are the odds moment, because it eventually leads to a word that is very current in our news, very current in our daily experience right now. And that is the word incitement. And how often do we hear that word in movies? Just very, very rarely, right? Maybe in some of the articles that you read right now, of course, and everybody is looking up the word or finding out the definition or exploring what incitement is, legally and otherwise. So I was watching Zorro, enjoying it, because aside from everything, it is one of the most wonderful and exciting and fascinating sword play scenes, and between Basil Rathbone and Tyrone Power. So in watching this, I enjoyed seeing, again, a warrior of the people that is so needed right now in our world, and having that energy come in is always helpful. And again, another night, couple nights later, last night as a matter of fact, again, putting away another section of the Christmas decorations, and wanted something in the background that I didn't really have to watch, because I needed my attention on the decorations. And the new Mark of Zorro with Antonio Banderas and Anthony Hopkins was on, and had that on in the background, when all of a sudden a man, a character in the movie, who was attempting to, again, control, take power, own in this case, he was attempting to own California. And as usual, enslaving and oppressing the people to do work for him. And at one point, another character is saying, we owe you. You gave us the land 20 years ago. We each owe you. You, in other words, own us, but now you're asking us to incite, you are inciting us to fight Santana. And again, this is very real history. Um, California was fought over by Spain, by Mexico. Santana, which was at the time, or who was at the time, at war with the United States. So we always need to read our history. When we know of history, we have the opportunity to change it. We have the opportunity to change our future, in other words, sorry. So the odds of following that trail through Zorro, a warrior of the people, someone who is against oppression by one group, one man, and to hear the word incitement through that trail was pretty amazing, and definitely one of those what are the odds moments. So to wrap up, we are in a point of time, certainly this week, when we each are called, not only have the opportunity, we have the opportunity, but we are being invited and called to really explore within where we have divided ourselves between what we feel, what we know innately, intuitively, instinctually, internally, and what we have gone along with, bought into through our defense system's need to distort the truth of what we are living in, what our parents are doing, in order to survive and hold on to the hope, that longing that they will one day be what we need and expect them to be. And not wanting to let that go. And yet at the same time, we as adults, every time we move away from that innate, away from that intuitive internal knowing, it causes great pain and it causes great division. And we are perpetuating separation. This is the reason why we are experiencing this on a national basis, giving us an opportunity as a nation to make the choice to continue to be individuals and independent. Remember the centipede. Zorro's fight for an independent California within the United States. We are now called to be different warriors. We cannot fight in the old way because that clashing perpetuates separation. We cannot fight within. We cannot fight without. But standing in the truth and making the choices for ourselves on a daily basis, sometimes moment to moment basis, does allow for a different way of being a warrior. And again, this is a rebirth of our nation, a rebirth of ourselves as humans, our human nature evolving. And so, without further ado, I am going to invite you to sit firmly on your sits bones and to just very, very gently let your shoulder blades come together a bit and drop downward. And that allows you to sit firmly and deeply within your own body. For I've found it all these 20 years or more much more powerful for clients and those that I work with to come down and in rather than up and out. For down and within allows you into your internal self, your inner verse. And calling in and calling upon the many helpers that have presented themselves, the warriors, those that defend justice, those that care about and for and fight for the people, but also calling that warrior within. Calling for each of us to stand up and stand as and stand in our truth. And therefore follow the opportunity, the invitation to find where any separation from that, where any split, where the division occurred. And in that exploration to transform and potentially transmute it within. So that you are living on a daily, moment-to-moment basis, not only true to yourself, but receiving that information from your wider self, your soul self, your guides and teachers and masters. Being able to tune into your body, your energy field. And it is with gratitude to Coral, giving us energy and vitality to do just that, to circulate that truth throughout our entire system and throughout your circle of family, friends, community, city, town, state, nation, and this centipede. How can you be that leader, that new form of warrior? Allow yourself to feel your body sensate internally any energetic sensation, any physical sensation. Not tracking it with the mind or trying to analyze or figure it out, but to experience and allow the internal information from the unconscious, from your wider self, from your guides and teachers and masters, information that floats to the surface, information that may flash in, information that may come simply in a physical sensation in an area of your body. That over time, perhaps not in this moment, but over the next 24 to 48 hours, may link you to signals, signs, indicators, information. But in the very meantime, this moment, simply allow yourself to experience the physical, energetic transmission of energy, vitality, for your physical body, your bloodstream, your circulatory system, your bones, allow the powerful healing energies allow for the strength, the perseverance, the commitment of the warrior. With a profound commitment to righting injustice, to freedom, to independence, to individuation. Within unity. That individuation does not cause separation. On the contrary, it allows for inclusion. It allows for more understanding and acceptance and compassion. Be it of other parts of yourself, choices, actions that you've made. A wider view of the perfection of all that has occurred in your life, in the life of this culture, this country. Of parents and their choices and how it has led you, given you the opportunity to explore those apparent issues and wounds, transforming and transmuting them, allowing you to have so very much more of you. Humanly, but moreover, that inclusivity extends to your wider self, your other dimensional, other existence selves. Not merely opening up those records, but enabling you to channel in and incorporate your wider self, your other selves to create on a moment-to-moment and daily basis. For this is a surprisingly malleable reality. When and as the majority of participants make a choice, make a change, recreate, for we humans are not the only participants that choose. The more unified we are within, the more unified we are without. Allowing you to speak to and be spoken to. By nature, by your wider self, by your guides and teachers and masters, through any and all avenues. Invite them to assist you and guide you in transforming the old, the untrue, the true human nature. Call in and call upon your water self, your helpers. And watch and wonder how they come to you. Watch in wonder how they come to you. Which naturally causes gratitude and thanks to come about in response. Generating a felt sense of the oneness of it all. Really allowing your body, your energy field, your wider self, your guides and teachers and masters to lead the way as they are consolidating within you all that you have received, experienced, sensated, downloaded, in order for you to move from a less physical state back to a more physical state of being, but incorporated within you. Your experience, the information, the healing, the transmission, vitality, energy, stance, truth. Mm. Really allowing gently, 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 gently for your way. Not your mind to say, oh, gee, I must stop this or come out of this, but simply feeling and following. And following through a bit on these themes, I will be doing a gathering the morning of the inauguration, 11 a.m., for just a half an hour to kind of really get in and center and stand/sit in that truth of you. For this does mark a passage, and it can mark a passage for you from those untruths, deceptions within, and as well as in the evening, 7 o'clock, again for a short period of time, probably about 40 minutes, to celebrate and re-anchor you into the start of something new. And at the end of the month, on the 28th, the last Saturday of the month, we will be doing an all-day workshop, or actually just 11 to 4. And it is going to give you an opportunity to deconstruct some of the old patterns within that cause this separation within you, and recalibrate and rebirth a new form of you, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I will post that on Facebook as well as the newsletter. And until next time, please know that I am so full of respect, and honor and gratitude for you being here on this planet at this time, making such a difference. No matter what you do, don't do, your presence, being who you are, makes a difference. Until next time, much love. Bye-bye.